While the rest of Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, is asleep, one African country is taking its destiny into its own hands and making moves to become a global superpower. Also called the Kingdom of Morocco, Morocco is located in the Maghreb region of North Africa. It spans an area of 710,850 kilometers square with a population of 37 million people. Since gaining independence in 1956, it has remained relatively stable, becoming the fifth largest African economy and having a significant influence in the Arab world. But here's where it gets really fascinating. The rest of Europe might run to Morocco for energy in the coming years. Why? With over 61 renewable energy projects underway, this North African country is at the forefront of the transition to sustainability. And the best part? Most of these projects are funded by foreign investors. The reasons aren't that far-fetched. Morocco is Africa's newest economic superpower, and the world is aligning with this reality. Welcome to our channel. Today, we explore two impressive sectors that make Morocco a superpower. And the first is sustainable energy. Africa's power generation capacity is at its barest minimum compared to its Asian, European, and American counterparts. Things have gradually improved over the years, but blackouts, shortages, and rationing are the order of the day. Not even giants in the continent like Nigeria and South Africa are left out. These shortages hamper economic growth and hinder the growth of small and large businesses. One of the biggest issues in this sector is limited financing. Experts say Africa needs $33.4 billion to $63 billion between 2015 and 2040 to boost its power generation capacity. However, the continent has spent only about $12 billion in the last decade. While sub-Saharan Africa remains in the dark, North African nations like Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco have invested tens of billions of dollars in renewable energy projects like solar power. No doubt, they are at an advantage thanks to the Sahara sun. So, now they're making the most of it. They hope to reduce the cost of solar energy and expand its use to improve energy security. Even more exciting is that this sector creates new business opportunities and a cleaner environment. Let's zoom in on the Noor Ouazzezed complex in Morocco, the world's largest solar plant. This structure is built on more than 3,000 hectares of land. That is the equivalent of 3,500 football fields. It is so massive that it generates enough electricity to power a city the size of Prague and twice that of Marrakech. We're talking about powering enough electricity for 1.3 million and 2 million people, respectively. The solar power plant is located on the doorstep of the Sahara Desert, with the complex providing 580 megawatts of electricity and saving the Earth from over 760,000 tons of carbon emissions. This country has one of the most ambitious energy targets in the world. Its goal is to reach 52% of its power from renewable sources by 2030. The truth is, it is all it takes to reach its target. The Noor Ouazzezed 243-meter tower is the tallest in the whole of Africa. But that's not just for show. This tower houses molten salt, which is melted to create energy. Unlike most solar panels that deliver energy directly to the grid, it uses curved mirrors to concentrate radiation to heat fluid tubes. The hot fluid is then pumped into a power unit and stored for later use, especially at night when demand is higher. The warmth of the mirrors melts the cylinder full of salt during the day and stays hot enough at night to provide at least 3 hours of power. Years ago, Morocco relied heavily on imported fossil fuel for 97% of its energy needs, but not anymore. This forward-thinking nation has determined to reverse the trend and become a shining example to the world. It's a no-brainer that electricity demand has skyrocketed over the years, and Morocco is determined to lead the way by surpassing fossil fuel energy with renewables. It's safe to say that this country is the only African country boldly joining the likes of Norway, Brazil, New Zealand, and Portugal to generate more renewable energy. And the most integral part, the kingdom plans to export much of its electricity to Europe via undersea cables. Already, Europe is facing energy shortages caused by the Russian-Ukraine war, and since Europe is dependent on Russian gas, it is a huge problem. Not to worry though, Morocco is a lifeline. Private companies in the country are already mapping out strategies to develop massive wind and solar projects that could cover part of Italy and Germany's needs. Other companies like British startup Xlinks plan to construct a 3,800-kilometer undersea electricity cable between Morocco and the UK, hoping the country's solar and wind energy could meet 8% of the UK's electricity needs by 2030. Morocco attracts investments left, right, and center thanks to its business-friendly environment and political stability. It has since received millions of dollars from the World Bank to finance major energy projects. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. The country leaves its doors open to foreign investors, and the effects are glaring. Picture this: three of Morocco's neighbors on the Mediterranean Sea, Egypt, Liberia, and Algeria, are classified as high-risk countries. However, Morocco is a beacon of light with a relatively stable and healthy business environment. The government learned crucial lessons from the difficult transition in Syria, Egypt, and Tanzania. Recall that 2011 saw the rise of violent protests occasioned by the Arab Spring. While the region was boiling with protests, Morocco managed only small-scale demonstrations compared to its neighbors. Kudos to King Mohammed VI for strengthening Parliament's role while retaining ultimate power. Today, Morocco isn't only a regional champion, it has its eyes on the global scale. For instance, it enjoys European Neighborhood Policy Advanced status, which opens doors to stronger ties with the bloc. It also boasts a great relationship with sub-Saharan Africa and other Gulf states. Aside from collaborating with the rest of the world, it is on a journey to economic diversification. Morocco's economic diversification began with a series of reforms to reduce dependence on agriculture, phosphate, and tourism. But it has not always been rosy for this conservative nation. Before the 1990s, Morocco's economy was pretty old school, centering around agriculture. But then, the government realized it was time to shake things up and modernize the economy. One of the earliest reforms was transforming the Moroccan investment charter to entice foreign investors. After that, the government undertook a massive privatization of state-owned enterprises to attract foreign investments. For instance, it sold 35% of its stake in Maroc Telecom to Vivendi in 2001. This reformation continued in 2004 when King Mohammed VI capitalized on the country's strategic location to build ports and industrial-free zones. The plan created over 500,000 new jobs and boosted the industry's GDP share from 14% to 23% in 2020. The move saw the creation of 54 industrial systems, the creation of 5 industrial-free zones, and partnerships with universities and professional associations. Morocco has sealed trade agreements with 62 countries and the EU to further improve trade and investment in the country. This means that for countries involved, there's no more double taxation headaches for businesses. Did you know that the Kingdom of Morocco is the only African country that signed a free trade agreement with the US? That's a big deal. It enjoys a sweet 95% tariff cut on specific industrial and consumer goods. The ongoing economic diversification means that foreign direct investment would pour in from around the globe. Investors now see this North African country as a springboard into the wider African continent while maintaining proximity to Europe. And with one of the best infrastructures in Africa, Morocco doesn't just talk the talk, but it walks the walk. Regarding maritime activity, the kingdom is 22nd globally, connected to 186 ports. In air connections, it boasts 16 international airports connecting the world's leading capital cities and global business hubs. The road network is also an impressive asset to the country. The over 57,000 kilometers of paved roads ensure safe transportation for 90% of residents and 75% of freight. And that's not all. The Moroccan rail network stretches over 2,200 kilometers with 120 stations. It is the first country to launch a high-speed train in Africa, connecting major cities like Tangier and Casablanca. Other reasons to invest in Morocco are its stable currency, social and regional disparity, less corruption, and so on. The Kingdom of Morocco is a goldmine of opportunities. Stay tuned for a second part to this video, as we'll cover other reasons why Morocco is the leading superpower in Africa. While many argue that Morocco's economy largely depends on agriculture, it's doing better than many African countries. So, what do you love most about Morocco? Please tell us in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next one.